Would you climb down into a crocodile and hippo-filled river, hold on to strangers for safety, scrape your feet along jagged rocks, slide into a deep pool and allow the current of the largest waterfall in the world by sheer volume push you to the very edge where you can try to grab onto a slippery rock to stop yourself from falling off of a 355-foot drop, just to peek your little eyeballs over the edge of one of the 7 natural wonders of the world, a waterfall twice as high as Niagara Falls? Oh, you would? Ah, great, us too. Welcome to Crossing It Off, the show where we're completing 50 travel bucket list experiences because the world is big and life is short. We're Tim and Finn, and today we're crossing off swimming in Devil's Pool at Victoria Falls.
This episode is sponsored by you. Thank you to the thousands of you who've supported this channel through a purchase of trip travel gear. Whether you're packing for the weekend or you're on a one-way ticket, thanks for taking Trip.
Welcome to Livingstone, Zambia. You're currently joining us about a week into our Africa trip. Previously, we spent 3 insane nights at a luxury safari camp where we saw the big 5 in like one day. And then you went on safari with me in a bathtub in a train car suspended on a bridge in Kruger National Park in South Africa. It was a quick 2.5-hour direct flight up here to Livingstone where I booked us on the Zambian side of the falls because I like how this property was right on the river. There were elephants and hippos right in front of our room versus many of the hotels in this price point on the Zimbabwe side were just in Victoria Falls town with no view. The first stop for us was a no-brainer. The hotel offered a $45 a person Sunset River cruise that included food and drinks. This was the perfect activity at the end of a travel day, and we even got to finish the night with a herd of elephants crossing the river in front of us. But they didn't even go through border control. The next day, the 5 of us set out in true Tim and Finn fashion. We wanted to visit Victoria Falls National Park from the Zimbabwe side where you can walk around and see the falls. But here's the catch. It's crazy expensive to come from where we were staying in Zambia. A guided tour costs over $200 per person, which would have been $1,000 for our group. Are you kidding me? After all the game drives too that we've done, we didn't really even want a guide. We just really needed a ride to the park. But there's a logistical challenge. Drivers don't really cross the border between Zambia and Zimbabwe, likely because of the additional costs. So the process goes like this. Get a ride to the border, walk across the mile-long bridge, then grab another ride on the other side. Or so I thought. It turns out once you cross, the entrance to the park is just a short walk down the road. But since we had been total tourists so far, being picked up and taken around, and today we were dipping our toes into travel, I just had a quick message for Bob and Debbie as I had absolutely no idea what to expect as this was also my first African border crossing on foot.
Well, hi, tour guide Barbie with a quick safety message. Okay, so we're going out into the world. Again, everyone that's been approaching us has been like, with the best intentions, working for the resort or that kind of thing. I'm anticipating we get there and it's going to be like an inundation of a bunch of taxi drivers and people selling you tours and like craziness like that. So I just want to mentally prepare you for that, to not feel overwhelmed with like so many people approaching us. And then Tim and I will just take charge of like, having a direction and talking to who we need to talk to and getting around in that way. So just have your no thank yous ready. I'm not worried about like our general safety, but that's just probably what we're about to walk into. And then at the border and all that, that's going to be probably pretty fine. If later we get into a market, that's where you'd be worried about like petty theft stuff. So just pockets and that kind of stuff. I don't think it's going to be going on the border. I don't think it's going to be crowded like that. But if we go into the busy area, you don't want just like stuff loose in an accessible area. All right. So everything's gonna be great. There's just mindfulness.
As instructed, Bob had his no thanks ready to go when we were approached by a guy on a trike. But with the chill vibes of the border crossing and the 90-degree heat, we encouraged Bob and Deb to cross the bridge in style, as they did. And we'd meet them, I don't know, somewhere up there, somewhere out of sight.
My attention was only focused on getting us to this point.
I would give the border crossing DIY a Tim and Finn adventure score of 3 out of a 5-point scale for Americans. I would give it like a 2 out of 5 adventure scale for Europeans or anyone else. So wherever you fall on how kind of intimidating is that going to be for me, maybe that helps position you on making that decision if you'd like to do a guided tour or cross the border by yourself. The walk was relatively easy. 15 minutes, are we calling it? 20?
20 at a slow, leisurely pace.
Yes, especially if there are falls that you can see, which we can't right now, you'll want to stop, take some pictures on the bridge. The bridge was like 10% of the whole trip across of that in-between area when you show passports in the beginning and then you finally get stamped at the end. A lot of it is just pavement with all the trucks waiting to cross the border. But just after the Zimbabwe side, you get stamped and the park entrance is like right here.
Let's see what else we have here. Giraffe.
Whoa, rhino.
Hippo.
No. None of those are giraffes.
This one doesn't count.
Feel it.
I gotta say, when we were crossing the bridge, I became 50% nervous that we weren't going to see water at all, because you could see where the water should have been. And I turned to the driver and I was like, oh, is that where the falls are? And he goes, yeah, but it's dry season, no falls. And like, I was like, wait, like no falls anywhere? So just the fact that there's water, I was thrilled, because I thought maybe I brought everybody here in dry season and there are no waterfalls. So thank you. I'm excited that there's water.
Oh shit.
Whoa! Hold on, Bob. Okay, we found Devil's Pool. So consensus so far from the 3 millennials is 5,000%. We're stoked that we don't have a guide with us and we're just kind of like enjoying the fall view to ourselves. Would that be Bob and Debbie's review? I don't know, because Bob's asking me questions, so I'm just making them up. Take that information as you like. Wow, beautiful. This looks like the spot because there's a photographer here. You always know where you found the best spot.
This take.
Whoa!
No.
Whoa!
Whoa, this is the wettest area that we've been in. I can't imagine it during wet season because we'd be in the rain, wouldn't we? It feels good. Oh, nice.
Makes you walk slow.
Yeah, enjoy it.
Do I look younger being infoliated?
Yes, what you want to do after the mist session is
think I'll go
use
for
some
a
of the
full facial.
local foliage for some exfoliation.
I'm gonna go $1 more and get leaf exfoliated.
Yeah. The rainforest mist section that we passed through temporarily, and the dry dead section. That was it. I'm sure changes seasonally, but that's crazy how you can have lush and dry within meters of each other.
Okay, back up.
All right, we've got Bobcam live.
And your hair looks very good coming out of the rainforest.
Thank you.
Everything's defoliated. Oh my God, she's walking on air. And now she will spin around. Oh, she does little helicopter. She's joining the family. It looks like the Pointer Sisters.
Look at the Devil's Pool.
Yeah, okay.
You think you're going to be jumping in tomorrow?
Yeah, there's a good chance I'm going in. I think I might do a backflip off of that one rock.
Woo! Ah, feels good. There has got to be a dramatic difference between wet and dry season because you can see where all the water has been previously. But I wonder, in wet season, can you actually even see the depth or anything here? Because it's so vast, but if it was just mist, would you even be able to see a lot of the falls? I don't know. Zambia, Zimbabwe.
Zimbabwe?
I didn't think about it too much.
Zimbabwe.
Hey, I'm workshopping it still.
Let's get a bungee jumper. Come on.
Victoria Falls in review. 3 hours was plenty. I didn't really know how many nights we would need here, but we're doing the Devil's Pool on one day, viewing the falls on a different day, and you could totally do those on the same day if you wanted. And then we're taking the day trip to Botswana tomorrow over to Chobe National Park. So I'd say we are hitting the bare minimum by staying 3 nights here. If you are an adrenaline junkie like Tim was actually trying to book
Ultralight flight, and if you try to do a day of like a complete idiot because you didn't know it existed and it looks so sick, and it's like less than $250, and how dope would that be? But
I know, we should have done trip planning together because then we would have just planned for that. Yeah. So sorry Tim missed out on his fun flying, but there's lots of stuff like that to do here, bungee jumping and all that kind of stuff. Dry season versus wet season. This is the driest of the dry season. So if you're worried about it being more dry than this, I don't think it is. We are in mid-September here. Wet season, you'll definitely want a raincoat because we were getting sprinkled on just in dry season. Right, good sign on the morning. Most elephants we've ever seen anywhere. Easy ride.
It was really a short drive.
Yeah. Perfect. Looking good, Tim.
That was a good one.
Well, I just got the camera super wet, so hopefully you can see me. But the edge is right here, as indicated with the mist. Cheers! Woo. Cheers! We're on Livingstone Island now, so it looks like we just have a little short walk. With a sweatshirt on, it's still a little chilly this morning. It's a little brisk. So I'm nervous about the water temp. Are you nervous?
I'm not nervous about anything anymore.
I know Jen is not nervous.
I'm nervous about the cold water.
You know, that sun could come out. The first cloudy day, come on.
How fun that we were on that side the other day. Even after traveling to 50 countries over the past decade, some experiences still hit differently. Stepping into the water, I couldn't stop smiling. This was crazy. A decade ago, I probably saw this on a travel blog or something and thought, someday we have to do that. And when someday turns into now, it feels surreal. The mix of adrenaline and holding hands through the river turned a group of strangers into giggling friends. At our holding spot on the rocks, the guide pointed at Jenna and said, "You're first." Our fearless gymnast probably could have done a handstand on the cliff, but instead, Jenna led the way, sliding in and floating straight to the edge. When my turn came, excitement did turn to nerves, but luckily with my long body, I could almost reach the edge while still keeping my toes safely on the rocks. We thought we had it tough just sitting there until we realized the guide was fully standing on the edge, in Crocs.
That guy doesn't even have his Crocs in four-wheel drive.
His only focus, making sure we got the perfect Instagram shot. You probably don't see these guys behind the camera on your social media, but as you can see here, they're the real rock stars.
How did you do?
The tiny fish were the scariest part.
I didn't know what everyone was talking about, thank you. With the little fish, he was freaking me out when he first jumped in because they were eating his feet, but they weren't eating mine. And then everyone was talking about it the whole time, and then everybody went through, and all the other groups had a rainbow, this beautiful rainbow behind them. So he offered for us to go again at the end. So after all the guides had left the edge, he told me to jump in, but there was no guides at the edge. So then I was sitting there, and then those crab fish things then just started like really attacking me because they had no one else to eat. And so I was there with no guide and feeling the fish for the first time, like, and it was freaky. That was so good. Like the actual second where you took the group shot with your butt facing away first, and then they tell you like individually to come over, and looking down really was that like insane, that like lifetime memory that you won't forget. I was way more scared than I thought I was going to be. So good.
So don't even go to the national park, just pay to do this and the views are better.
Whoa.
Different
What?
views. Different
No.
views.
It's not better. It's just different. That was fun to do that side the other day and see people doing this instead of doing this first and then go to the other side. Take my picture.
You look beautiful, babe.
Whoa! I can't think of a better way to wrap up this trip than what we just did. Everyone is on an adrenaline high. That was so fun. And the fact that we are now checking out of the hotel with wet hair and packing up our bags to now fly from Livingstone to Johannesburg to Dubai to O'Hare is pretty epic.
when we're on the plane later, I'm going to be thinking like, oh my God, we were hanging over a waterfall this morning. So cool what a flight can do. And if you've been following this entire Africa series, thank you for joining us. If you're on that helicopter tour of the falls, I hope you're having a great time. This was an epic 9 days in Africa.
Next time on Tripped.